I have been doing reverse catcalling research on the men for the last couple of weeks, shouting stuff like this at them. Man exercising. Have a look at this exhibit of masculinity. Oh. Man pushing a pram. Check you out, hot stuff. Those muscles must be strong. What a lucky baby to have a father like you. Man sitting on the bench eating his sandwich. What beautiful teeth and mouth you've got, in the voice of a little Red Riding Hood. Yes, the reaction most of the time was WTF. Shall we, darlings, welcome our first guest onto the set?
Hello, good evening. Right, my name's Elroy Welsh. I'm going to do a bit of stand-up for you. I like to ask this question a lot. People, have you ever met someone who tries to get a bargain anywhere they go? Yeah. My dad's like that. It's a little bit embarrassing for me. Like the last time we went out to get some food, my dad was doing this speech. He's got this speech he does all the time, like, yo, come on, man. Come on, man. Throw some more in, man. Come on, man. Give me some more, man. I'm always in your store. I'm always spending money. I promote and advertise your business all the time. In fact, if it was not for me, you wouldn't have as much customers as you have today, man. At that point, I had to stop. My dad's like, Dad, stop. That's not going to work here. It's KFC. My dad's one of these people that's terrible with technology. Have you ever met those type of people? Yeah? Like, he literally gets me to do everything for him. Like, the other day, he asked me to put some music on his iPhone. And at the same time, he said to me, Elroy, can you put some music on the iPhone for me? But when you're putting music on the iPhone, please don't put too much music on it. Because when I'm carrying it around, I don't want it to be too heavy. I'm not going to lie, I started messing with him. I was like, Dad, I'm about to put this album on the iPhone, but there's a lot of tracks on there. Just feel the weight of it. Oh, man. Did a lot of different jobs before I became a stand-up comedian. Like, I used to work as an artist in Subway, a sandwich artist. I'll tell you the funniest thing that happened to me in Subway. One day I'm working at the till, and this old Chinese guy, he comes in, he orders his sandwich. I said, sir, that's £5. Now the guy looks at me, but then he just picks up the sandwich and he just starts to walk off. So I shouted to him, I'm like, yo, sir, you got to pay for that. This is exactly what he did. He turned back, confidently looked at me, and then just carried on walking. Then my manager told me to go after him, and I was like, no. He's an old Chinese guy with that much confidence to walk off. Have you not seen karate movies? I also used to work as a bouncer as well. And while working as a bouncer, I used to meet like a lot of crazy people, right? Like I remember this one night, I saw this guy, he literally like kind of stumbled out of the pub and he just tried to go to sleep in the middle of the road. Right, so I've gone over to him, I'm trying to wake him up, I'm like, sir, you can't sleep there. Sir, someone might come and run you over. To which he responded, no one's running me over, mate. No one's running me over because I'm fat and I'm rich. So I jumped in my car and I ran him over. He wasn't the stupidest person I've ever met, though. Stupidest person I've ever met happened one night at this woman's birthday party, right? So it was her 40th birthday party. She had ordered a stripper and the stripper was late. So she came outside and she started kicking off. And when I say kicking off, she was proper going for it. Like, she was kicking off with us, the doorman. I don't know why, but she was outside screaming, where's my stripper? Where's my stripper? Where's my bloody stripper? Where is he? And you know what? You know what? Can't even get that doorman to strip because he is flipping ugly. Oh. Yeah, she's talking about me. I'm not going to lie, I got angry. Not at the fact that she called me ugly, but at the fact that by doing so, I thought she was breaking the rules. If you're going to call somebody ugly, you need to be prettier than the person you call it ugly. You know what I mean? Come on, like, I look in the mirror, I know what I look like, right? On my worst day, I'm like a 5. That bitch was a 2. was her birthday, right? You dress up nice. You want to look good on your birthday, right? So we ended up arguing now. And while we're arguing, she said to me the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. She's like, you know what, yeah? You know what? You know bloody what? Why you go back to Jamaica? You fucking Somalian. I don't know if it's crazier that she said that or I said that joke at a gig one night and no one laughed. But I'm happy to be doing stand-up. I'm really happy to do it. Because there was that period during lockdown where I wasn't able to do stand-up. I wasn't able to talk to people. And I just felt like it was such a weird time during that lockdown, especially because crazy things kept happening to me. Like, I remember that first lockdown, I actually got robbed. Yeah. Weird time, right? Because that's when everyone is at home. So I don't understand why you try and rob people. But basically, I heard someone downstairs in my house, and I'm like, what the hell is that? I come downstairs, I see him, he sees me, and he panics, and he just takes off running. So I start chasing him. I'm chasing him, and I'm thinking about all the things I'm going to do to him when I catch him. And then it suddenly dawned on me that the reason I was chasing him was because I was lonely. I started begging him to come back. I was like, yo, come back. He didn't come back. Also, I remember that lockdown, it was quite emotional. I remember there was a lot of emotions flying around, and I felt quite emotional as well, because I remember watching that COVID death rate. The death rate was rising, it was just going up and up and up. And I remember it really made me upset, because none of my enemies had died. No, seriously, when I got COVID, I even went to their houses, started coughing through their letterboxes. None of my enemies caught COVID and died, man. And then I hate the fact that a lot of people came out of COVID, right? And they were like, oh, I learned all these new skills and stuff like that. And I didn't learn anything. You know what I mean? I literally learned nothing. It was just crazy. All I was doing was smoking weed. And that was it. And that's all I learned. I learned I needed to stop smoking weed. That's it. I remember what happened was I got so high one day, I literally walked over to my freezer and I had the munchies. I just wanted to really eat something, right? I've opened up my freezer. I'm sitting there just looking at it going why is there no food in here, man? And it took me another 10 minutes before I realized that was my tumble dryer. It's crazy, man. And another thing that happened to me is this is when I definitely knew I need to stop smoking weed, right? I was smoking with one of my friends and I was at his house, right? And this advert came on TV. I think you've all seen them. You know, there's adverts that come on TV going, for £2 a month, you can give little Dammy Lola enough food for an entire year. And I'm thinking how does that work out? And literally at that same time, he starts getting angry and he's like, nah, man. Nah, bruv. I don't give to them things, bruv. And I was like, why would you say that? And he was like, nah, man, them things are all staged, rude boy. And I was like, why would you say they're staged? And literally, at that time, he sounded so clever. He took a pull of the spliff. He was like, yo, check it, fam. Even that fly is a paid actor, bro. I was like, you think they trained the little fly to land on an African child's face? I was like, that's it. We need to stop smoking weed right now. Put that weed down. So I'm 34 years old at the moment, and I'm just thinking about my life and what I want to do and what I want to achieve in life, And I think it's a good time, especially as I've got a girlfriend and she's pregnant. So it's yeah, thank you. But it's a hard time because there's a lot of decisions I've got to make. First of all, when my child comes, what do I name my child? I think that's an important decision, right? Because you don't want to choose a name that's going to ruin your child's life, have them getting bullied at school and stuff like that. And also, I think I really need to make this decision right because my parents did a terrible job with me and my brothers. So, I've got parents called Michael and Denise. Normal names, right? But I've got 3 brothers. For some reason, Michael and Denise decided to call me Elroy. I've got another brother, his name is Ainsroy. Another brother called Denroy. And the last brother, they just gave up and called him Roy. But yeah, I also think that this kid is going to have my genes as well. And I don't know if that's a great thing. Because I remember when I was young, I used to be very mischievous. I used to do stupid things like play pranks at nighttime. Me and my friend would do this prank we thought was hilarious. We'd stand either side of a road and we'd pretend to pull a rope. We didn't have a rope. We just thought it was funny. The cars would slam the brakes. We'd be like, ha, 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 ha. So one night we did this prank, right? This guy slams on the brakes, but then he turns the car around and starts chasing us. So now he's chasing us, and him and his missus are shouting out the window, "We know your face! We know your face!" Now that night, I realized that some white people think all black people look alike. Because we ran into KFC, and they got out of the car and ran into KFC. But the guy ended up grabbing a Somalian guy. And the wife was in the background like, "Yeah, go back to Jamaica!" Fucking Somalian. So I love doing stand-up comedy, and this is something that I want to do for as long as possible. And the reason is because it's just fantastic, you know, get to see people laughing and things like that. And it's a job I really love. But I've had many jobs which I did not like. And because of that, I wrote this song about hating my job. I'm sure some of you guys can relate, and we're going to perform it for you. I'm going to get my fiance to help me. So if you could. And yeah. So, the song is called I Really Hate This Job.
Oh.
I really hate this job. I just can't take this job. I can't fake it, 'cause I hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it.
My boss is a prick, always talking shit. Unrealistic targets, they make me sick. Took my bonus away. And what did they say? Elroy, you've just got to work harder. Just do the impossible, okay? Now fuck this shit. Bun this shit. They can't even run this shit. I'm too old to be sitting here listening to these fucking pricks. Meeting after meeting. Why is this dickhead speaking? He's lucky I don't greet him after work with a beating. They bully the staff. Micromanage your ass. Explain every task. Elroy, what were you doing here? And Elroy, what were you doing there? And oh, Elroy, that toilet break, that was 2 minutes and 12 seconds too long. That's completely unacceptable.
I really hate this job. I just can't take this job. I can't fake it, 'cause I hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it.
My boss is a mug. He thinks he's a thug.
Yeah.
Acts like a Rottweiler, but he's really a pug. All bark, no bite. Just talk and hype. Bet he's bent over at night, getting pegged by his wife. My boss is a dick. He's taking a mick. Elroy, we need you to do overtime. Fuck it, I'm calling in sick. Can I speak to Phil? I can't come in, I'm ill. Elroy, what do you mean you can't come in? We need you in. This job should be the most important thing in your life. How are we supposed to hit or unrealistic and or impossible targets? If you don't come in, that's completely unacceptable.
I really hate this job. I just can't take this job. I can't fake it, 'cause I hate it, hate it, hate it, hate
If you know the words, sing along. I really hate
this job. I just can't take this job. I can't fake it, 'cause I hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it.
Thank you very much. And remember that if you hate your job.
It's Dr. Audrey Tang here in for Gordana Micic today. It's such a pleasure to have you on set. What brought you to comedy? It's so natural to you.
Comedy, yeah. What brought me to comedy? I guess there was a lot of things. I really wanted to be a motivational speaker. Yeah, and at the time I was like, I have nothing motivational to say. So I was like, what can I do? I know I can talk rubbish. So started like just trying out little open mics and stuff. And yeah, like I realized I was actually using humor a lot before, like, I don't know how to say it. You know, like if you've got issues and stuff like that, rather than talking about them, I'd just make a joke out of everything. And I kind of realized I was using humor a lot. And yeah, I was like, I can do something with these two combined.
Absolutely. And Just to go into that a little bit, do you find that works, or do you find that masks you talking about the problem?
I think it masks it a lot, but I do feel like it helps a little bit.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when people are laughing and smiling, it's a very involuntary response. But you do feel good when you laugh, you know?
Yes, that's really true. And in a way, that's sometimes more important than the motivational speaker.
Yeah,
Because you take that feeling with you. I think that's lovely. Tell me about your pathway into comedy. It can't have been easy, because I know they work really hard.
I mean, I think also it was like I knew I was very creative, and I wanted to do things like maybe add music and all these little bits. And I was like, well, you don't have to be a proper like musician. You can actually do stand up and add these other things on top as well.
Yes.
But the kind of way I got into it was just through, first of all, doing local open mic shows. So it was like variety shows. They have like a comedian, singer, magician, all these kind of things.
Yeah.
Actually, my friend Preacher, he ran the first comedy night that I ever kind of did.
Wow.
Well, it was a variety show, but I asked him for a spot, and he was like, "You."
Thanks.
Yeah, because he didn't really know me as that type of person, but tried it out, got a few laughs, and I was like, okay, this is nice. I think I can do this. I went to other little open mics, and then eventually I started going to like open mic comedy clubs. And then from there, once you start building up, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you start getting a bit recognised. Yeah. Then you can start getting regular bookings, and I've been fortunate enough to go abroad and do comedy and do it in loads of random places that I would never have known about. I
think that's fantastic. What might you say to somebody who is starting off and maybe they've had a bad night, and they're thinking, oh, should I just give up? What should I do? What are your words of wisdom?
Do you know what? I'd probably pass on the words that other comedians told me. So, like when I've kind of had a bad night and I thought, oh, this is terrible, other comedians have shared some of their stories with me, and there's comedians who got booed off stage on their first gig. And every audience is going to be different, You can't take it personally. You really can't. Like, unless you're doing like 100 gigs and all 100 go bad, then stop. But it's like stats at the end of the day. Like, no one's perfect. I'm not going to do 100 gigs and smash all 100. But if I've smashed 90 of 100, then very good results. 90% is lovely.
I think that's fantastic. And what a motivational speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Elroy Welsh.
So here with us is Richard Brice. Woo! Hi, cheers to that. We're having a cup of tea. There's a bit of vodka added in.
A little brandy.
Yeah, just brandy. So he's an actor, improviser, amazing improviser, lots of fun, comedian and businessman. So wonderful.
So I haven't performed in an age. I haven't done a set in a long time, so I had nothing prepared, as you well know. I got a call a couple hours ago. I was not the first choice for this spot, and so
you weren't even the second choice.
No, not even. Story of my life.
I love you. I love you. That
my marriage.
You were because you. He said the same. The theme runs through your life.
Does, yeah,
Is that an American
trauma.
thing?
Is that an American
thing?
Because
I did have 2 Americans booked, and then you were due to appear later in 3 months' time because we kind of booked everybody. And then I thought, well, they're Americans. If one disappears, you just book another American.
That's because we're interchangeable like
That's
that.
Right.
I can't even tell us apart. They all look the same.
American.
They look all the same.
Canadian.
Yeah.
You've got a motorbike. You arrived here on the motorbike.
I did, yeah. I came here on my bike.
And he got very excited. I don't think he was looking forward to doing comedy as
It was
much.
an excuse to get on the road.
That's right, and to go on the motorway. He's like, oh, I'll have to go on the motorway. That sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm coming.
I'm doing a lot. Of riding. Not even here in the UK.
Oh, the motorbike or women?
Motorbikes, I'm afraid. Yeah. No, I've been traveling in India.
Amazing with your motorbike.
Not my motorbike. flew there.
Oh, you
and
okay,
then
you
yeah, it's
hiked.
a little difficult to get to India on a motorbike.
Well, one man walked from India to Sweden to actually marry his wife. I've read about this.
Wow.
This is the research. That's what love. So you couldn't even be bothered to get on the motorbike or to ride across
Well,
the world.
it's just you have to go through some pretty hostile countries
I know, he walked.
where Americans aren't terribly popular.
Well,
so
you could like do Loki.
you can do it Loki like the
Not Loki, not the
god,
Avengers,
or
no.
the folk tale. Yeah, that's what you meant. Do it like Loki. Come in with my staff and smite all of the heathens. No, I wouldn't do that.
I love, you
I
could
wouldn't
see
do
the
that.
actor there. Amazing.
But it's been interesting. Yeah, I've did some touring in the Himalayas, and
Wonderful.
just this past Christmas I was in Kerala in the Ghats Mountains, and it was exquisite. It was really beautiful.
That's a
Absolutely
beautiful place. My brother used to live there, actually. He lived in India for 3 years now. He lives in Philippines. But he loves that region. Yeah, I've never visited. So what it's like?
What, Himalayas or the or Kerala? So they're very different. I mean, India's a big country.
Yes.
But I was more recently in Kerala, and it is absolutely exquisite. It's a beautiful place. It's mountainous, very lush, very green. It's just a big national forest with animals and such, which, interestingly enough, I drove through one of their tiger reserves.
Wow.
I didn't get to see any tigers,
okay.
which turns out is probably a good thing.
Yes.
Because they let the tigers just wander around freely. Turns out, a couple of motorcyclists get eaten every year. I didn't know this.
Well,
So-
it's nice to have you on the show.
It is. I'm happy to be here. No, it was exquisite. Speaking of which, so riding around I was in Rajasthan, touring about on the bike, and so Rajasthan's a lot of towns and forts and stuff like that. It's not vast, beautiful wilderness and lush greens. But one of the towns I was in Kochiman City. And so, as a lot of people may or may not know, in a lot of parts of India, they just let the animals, wander free.
Yes,
so
they do,
particularly
yes.
in the north, you've got lots and
Nice.
lots of different animals. You've got cows and goats and sheep and all sorts. And one time, I'm riding through, and there was an elephant just wandering through the town center.
Amazing.
It was alarming,
Because
but
they
it was
are
pretty
quite-
amazing
I mean,
too.
they're powerful if they get angry and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
you really want to be careful, yeah.
So that was an experience, because I thought at that point I'd seen everything on the roads of India, but no. That was probably the pinnacle of
Amazing.
alarming things to see on the road.
Thank you so much, lovely.
Thank you, darling.
Richard, Brice, wonderful. Yay! And now, to many of her fans, I am going to say, she's off the market, darlings. Better luck next time. You have to be much faster. This girl is so good. She went. That's it. Her name is Nicola Nash. Please welcome her to the set. Woo, Nicola Nash!
Yes, thank you very much. As Gordy said, I am now married. Thank you. I'm off the market. I've married a wonderful woman, and I've taken her name. So I'm getting used to calling myself Nicola Nash, which is just a cooler name. We actually met on just before the lockdowns, before all of that nonsense. It was kind of difficult to keep things going, like we'd been together a matter of months and then we couldn't see each other. And during the lockdowns, everything was on Zoom. Like you had work meetings, chats with your mates, therapy, all sorts. And I was getting confused. I ended up calling my dad for phone sex and my girlfriend for money. But it worked out in the long run because my dad's pretty tight. So it was all good in the end. We actually met on Her, which is, I describe it as lesbian Tinder, or Linda, if you will. It's a great little app, and I've met the woman of my dreams. And like, obviously, you can tell I'm queer. You know, I don't know if my hair told you, but yes, I am queer. And I call myself bisexual, even though I know, like, binary, all that, I understand. But I'm not attracted to personalities. It's all physical for me. It's all physical. I kid. But yeah, so I'm bisexual, and I like my women like I like my compliments from my mother, short and often backhanded. And I like my men like my dad in my childhood, coming and going. Coming and going, coming and going. I do have daddy issues, but don't worry, I'm very equal opportunist. I've got mummy issues too. They're not as sexy. Like, I don't imagine anyone's going to make any porn out of mummy issues. You never know, though. It might be made by men who claim to be feminists. I don't know. Don't hold me to it. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm from Somerset, as I was telling Gordy before. I grew up in rural Somerset, and I came out there. And it was very difficult, because not a lot of gay people, or not a lot of people that know they're gay people down in Somerset. And it was quite difficult, because, like, when I was, like, coming out and trying to explore my feelings and things, the men and the women that I was into were very, very similar. The most problematic traits that they had was that they're both attracted to men. So it just didn't go my way. My luck has turned around, obviously. I'm a happily married woman now. So it was very difficult as well. Like, for the first 10 years that I was out, I thought my mum was a homophobe. Turns out she just really hated my first girlfriend. And I mean, she was right to. She was absolute horror. Yeah, I was quite unhappy in that relationship. It was so bleak. Like, I knew after 4 years that I was over it and I wanted to get out. But I made sure I gave it another 5 years just to make sure that I was miserable. Just make doubly sure that I didn't want to be there. And then I decided 8 years in to propose, because what do you do in an unhappy relationship? You lock that shit down. You lock it down. Luckily, 6 months later, I did call it off, and she called me a sociopath. Which, I mean, fair enough. It's not the actions of a sane woman. But I was so unhappy in that relationship that I used to daydream about, like, being involved in a gangland murder, like, so that I could get into witness protection and get the fuck out of there. Never have to see her again. I don't like conflict. I'm a child of divorce. These things are difficult. So, like I say, yes, I am married. I can't stop saying it because I'm very, very happy. But I went wedding dress shopping with my mum and my sister. And it was lovely. It was really lovely. But this one place we were at, this department store, this lovely woman called Dot, she was helping us, and she was very excited for us. And she kept on gesturing like, oh, you can get matching shoes. We can get you all matching shoes. You could have one for the bride, one for the mother of the bride, one for the mother of the groom. Gesturing at my sister. My sister is, in fact, only 2 years older than me. She took it in good stead, though. She took it well. She took it on the chin. But she did it a few times. And then eventually, after we had our, like, consultations and whatever, she said, oh, so who is everybody? And I was like, this is my mother and this is my sister. The woman didn't flinch. She didn't, like, go, oh, my goodness. First of all, like, there was no fucking groom involved. In fact, I actually wanted to call myself the broom, the bridegroom, but my wife said that she wouldn't go through with it if I called myself the broom. It physically made her less attracted to me. It made her feel sick. So I can only say it on stage because she can't get me here. But yeah, at the end, like, I was walking away with my sister and I said, look, don't worry. I was about to say her name. Whew. I said, don't worry, sister. She must just think I'm a paedophile. You gotta look for the silver linings in every situation. Yes. So, yeah, I'm not a paedophile, but my wife does look very young. So, you know, she's older than me, but looks younger. Yeah. Yep. She's a babe. She's a total babe. So I'm going to leave you on this, right? As a comedian, I'm emotionally stunted. And I find it quite difficult to reveal parts of myself to new partners, you know. And I've got a massive love of true crime, or as I call white women porn. I love a bit of true crime, but I'm so jealous of the confidence of serial killers. You know, especially the serial killer couples. Like, how the fuck do you, within a year, reveal the fact that you want to kill people and have that received well? I don't get it. How do you do it? I like to kill children. And they're like, yeah, sure, count me in. I find it hard to reveal what I want for dinner. And these people are like, oh, yeah. Like, how does that conversation come about? You know, do you go, hello, darling, I feel like you see me. Like no one has ever seen me before. I feel so close to you. I want to kill kids. Whoa. Don't worry. We'll fuck them first. Don't you worry. I always leave that towards the end because it will split a room. And I like to be remembered. So thank you very much.
What do you think about LGBT activism? How do you represent LGBT community?
Oy.
Because you mentioned in your set you're queer. Mm-hmm. Oh, so am I. I'm weird, queer. I mean everything, flamboyant. Any diminishing term in English language, use it.
Very true, very true.
Because, you know, flamboyant, if you're a scientist who's
yeah.
quite, genetics, neuroscience, if you're quite innovative, interesting, nice, flamboyant. So queer is another word in English language that is diminishing, I would say, almost.
Definitely.
But we like it.
It's been reclaimed, I see.
Okay, recycled.
So, as a child, definitely, if you were called queer, which I was, it wasn't a good thing. It was because I was a bit of a strange fish as a child.
Oh, did you just swim all the time? Did you swim?
Oh yeah,
to and from
couldn't get me out of that water. I've always been a fan of fish. Actually, my first ever favourite food was kippers.
Oh,
Yeah.
So okay. So strange fish, and what does that mean when kids pick on you? So you were bullied in plain English.
I mean, yeah, I was bullied, but I'm not a grass. So
what does that mean? You're not a snitch?
yes, yeah. I definitely was bullied, and I definitely did bully.
Okay.
I think you've got to be honest. You got to be honest.
Yeah.
But I mean, I definitely think I received worse than I ever dished out.
Okay.
Mine was just clever wordplay.
Oh, so witty. Super hot. Yeah, loving it. So queer, how did queer evolve since your childhood?
Well, I guess it was in my 20s. Like when I first came out, I wouldn't even dream.
Came out, what does that mean?
Oh, when I said I am into women, basically.
Oh, but I'm into women. I'm in love, like at the moment, with about 30 women.
Oh, right.
Is that queer?
That's pretty queer.
Yes.
Yeah, I've actually got a joke that basically I've got a lot of friends that are allies. Like, how many women do you have to finger before you cross the line of ally to queer?
This is educational. I should have brought my notebook.
Because and then you also step
Ally
into the
to queer.
yeah, and you've also got to be like. Some people just don't want to be labelled as anything, which is
No,
also
I don't like
absolutely
being
fine.
labelled. Yeah, I like to be adventurous because I still haven't decided to grow up.
Exactly. Why would you?
Why would you?
Yeah.
So you go from straight, heterosexual to ally. Oh, I like that.
Well, a lot of people say that bisexuals are stop on their way to gay town. Which is basically true for me. Like, I've only had serious relationships with women.
And men, you use them for sex.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I had a lot more control with men, so I could just have a very throwaway. Yeah, exactly.
Connection.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh,
But like we were saying on the way here, I love men. I really do.
don't want to spend my life with one.
Yeah. What did you say? We actually mentioned a quote by Cher.
Oh,
the
yes.
singer Cher.
And
We
I-
both love the quote.
Absolutely.
Because her mum
Says, Cher, you've got to go out there and you've got to marry a rich man. And she said, Mum, I am a rich man. And that is just
amazing.
so inspiring.
It is.
I don't want to be a rich man, I want to be Cher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she says it in such a deep,
yeah.
grounded voice. And
Yeah.
from her diaphragm, it really
Oh, yeah, she meant it.
means-
She
yes.
meant it. Yeah.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So queer, and now you're not triggered anymore. You don't see it as bullying if people called you queer now.
No. Like, I have a career outside of comedy. Hopefully.
Seriously? You
Yeah.
have a life outside of comedy?
Sort of.
How dare you?
I know. Hopefully not for much longer. You know, I'd rather just be a comedian. But I hosted this thing at Pride where it was me and this lesbian that I worked with hosting the whole team and like kind of giving them a queer education. And one of my high up bosses, they were very sound, but he came up to me and was like, so can I call people queer? And I was like, well, I mean, you can. I wouldn't suggest doing it through gritted teeth. I would just, if somebody calls themselves queer, then that's fine. But I
like
wouldn't
that,
call
yes.
somebody queer.
That's it.
But
Because they might see it as a label, wherever they are in their transition.
It's like with any reclaimed word, like it's for the person who's reclaimed it to use it.
Thank
you know?
you. It is, and also in the corporate world, I work in the corporate world, the bullying and harassment is very much, and I've written the policies, is about how that person received that communication
Absolutely.
rather than what the speaker meant. So we have to be mindful of the receiving
Absolutely.
end of that communication. Very well said.
Thank you very
Like that. Now, on the train here, we met this wonderful Colombian.
Oh, we did. She was lovely.
She was lovely,
Yeah.
and she actually talked to us about life in Colombia.
She sure did, yeah.
And she was 15, her mother was 15
Yeah.
when she gave birth to her first child. By the age of 21, she had 4 children.
Yeah, I know.
And her
I just
father,
can't
I
imagine
mean,
that.
she will remain unnamed, obviously.
Of
We have to
course.
protect her identity and stuff. And we talked to her, and since you had a lovely P word, pedo word in your set, I just thought, that kind of triggered me to ask a question about that. Because when she said that her father was 30,
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, that's
I mean-
quite... I mean, nowadays, he would be called a pedo.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Elvis Presley would be called
Oh, he's a pedo. Yeah.
14 was his magic number.
A grown
I
man
mean,
having
even
sex
older
with a
than
14-year-old. I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, that was this was precious. It was a classic Gordy moment. That like everybody in the carriage was clearly thinking your dad's a pedo, and Gordy just fucking says it.
And the whole train went silent.
Yeah, it went
The
very
carriage
quiet. But
was
she
quite
received
embarrassing.
it pretty well.
She did, and she smiled about it. She goes, well, that's how it was done before.
Yeah.
And they made us think that in some countries it's actually legal. I mean, this is quite a subject, and I think having spoken to a lot of ladies, I'm a kind of ally. I still haven't decided where I'm going to. I kind of swing. A lot of women that go into LGBT community, or men, have had some kind of sexual experience that was not quite right, wasn't healed. You're neutral. You've tried both, and you decided, hey, I actually enjoy myself here.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that every single person, whether LGBT or whatever, they are definitely guided by their childhood trauma. There's no way. Everybody has some sort of scale of childhood trauma, and that maps out your path in life. So we were on a ferry to France, and literally just wafted into my head, if I was gay, things would make a lot of sense, and then it disappeared again. And it wasn't for another 10 years that I really addressed that and thought about it. And I'm not gay, but I've chosen to spend my life with a woman because I fell in love with her. Not because Dad wasn't about as much as I'd like,
Have you been to therapy, actually?
I have,
Yeah,
yeah.
me too. Yeah. What did you do? CBT?
I've done a bit of CBT, didn't really like it. Done a bit of inner child work. That was.
Oh my God! Did you hug your inner child?
Oh my God,
Did you
I
bring
did.
it to the presents? Oh my God!
Oh,
It's
God.
so lovely when you go. Oh my God!
It was so weird. I found it so weird. So this is like in lockdown. I've been on my own in lockdown for a long time, and then I suddenly had roommates that like came in because obviously we could start interacting with people. So my
Were they
landlord-
imaginary or were they?
No, they were real. They were real. My landlord brought them in. Oh, I think they were real. I mean, nobody met them. So.
Because brain can do imaginary and real,
maybe I
doesn't
just
know the
needed-
difference.
I just needed people there. Well, whether they were real or not, I was keeping my voice down. I was doing therapy on Zoom, and I had to like grab a pillow, and it was my inner child. And oh man,
Make sure you do address your inner child, you know, and get this beautiful smile at the end of it. Nicola Nash, everybody. Woo! We have with us one of my favorite ladies on the international comedy circuit, the winner of Funny Women. Kate Cheka! So, how was it winning Funny Women? Because, you know, we met at the Grove.
Yes.
You contacted me from Berlin. She was working in Germany, delivering laughters in Germany. You know, those people that need it most in Europe. And she was very good at it. And then she arrived at the Grove. And I just saw this energy. I saw the energy before she entered the room. And I was like, oh my God, she needs a bigger stage. I can see her. I can visualize her on the big stage.
Yeah.
And she didn't believe me. And it happened.
No, I didn't not believe you.
It happened. So tell us about that.
What, Funny Women? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was good. I was really surprised. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it would be me, so I was surprised. But I was happy, but mainly surprised. And then later I was drunk, so...
Which is a combination of both.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was good.
When did you start to believe that you are going to make it?
I don't know if that's a thing you can believe, because I don't know if there's such a thing as making it. There will always be another thing, and I think that's what you have to realize, that there's like always another thing that you're always aiming for. And so, yeah, you get to a point, by the time you reach a certain thing, you're like, oh, I want the next thing. And I think what I sort of realize is this is going to sound really corny, and it's not like the friends you make along the way, but it is like you have to celebrate the small wins, because by the time you've reached them, they don't feel so big anymore.
That's a very humble thing to say. Very nice.
The Funny Women thing was quite overwhelming for me personally, because I had got myself into a real place where I was like, I think I might wind down comedy. I wasn't going to outright quit, but I was definitely like winding it down. And then I won, and I knew that would shift things, but then it also sort of shifted things, but not maybe as much as they thought they would or whatever. So it was kind of a complicated feeling. But I was a bit overwhelmed where it happened, so I went home for the weekend. Because I also was like, I just felt like, yeah, it was it was a lot, but yeah, and then, I don't know.
So tell us about your journey. So you did years in Germany?
I did 1 year in English in Berlin, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, I was there for a year and a bit, and then...
And then you kind of moved to the UK, and you were relentless. I remember we gigged together in Wimbledon, and that lovely little place, kind of close to Wimbledon, centre court kind of area. And I just remember you trying lots and lots of different things, and nothing was left out of limits. So what was your process? How did you actually train yourself in your mind? Because your crowd work is incredible. How do you
I would say
train
that's like my
yourself as a comedian?
least good thing. But
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I don't mind. But like, it's work when you do crowd work. I like to just tell them my jokes I'm prepared. But I try not to think about it too much.
Okay.
I don't have like a sit down and write it. The first time I've been really sitting down and writing it is literally today, because I'm trying to write this hour, and it's like the first time in a very long time I've like sat down and been like, I have to craft this. What is this story? What is this narrative? Like in the beginning you have to craft it because you don't have any jokes and you're trying it for the first time. But then after a while you sort of learn to write them on stage, you learn to write them in your real life and that sort of thing.
Yes.
So yeah, now I'm coming back to that thing of having to sit and be like, what is it I'm trying to say?
So what is this hour about? Can you tell us about it? Or will you have to kill us if you tell us?
No, I can tell you about it. It's basically, I have a deep-seated feeling that I'm in charge of saving the world. And I had this as a child. And I thought everyone had it. And then I realized, actually, people do not have this.
No, they don't.
And
I
so I
don't.
feel like I'm in charge of like trying to I want to make the world, it's that kind of thing, but it's also kind of an ego thing, isn't it? So I'm trying to unpack that.
So
And
there's
where
a bit
it
of
comes
ego
from.
about you.
Of course.
Thank goodness.
Of course.
Oh my God.
What do you think I do
thought
comedy? No one would do comedy if they didn't have ego.
That's right. We work on the
That's
stage.
insane.
But I mean, you manage it so well. You balance the soul and ego and
Yeah,
spirit
I'm
and
quite
stuff, and
good at saying it
confused.
out
Where's
loud.
the ego?
Sure. But I wouldn't,
Where
of
did you
course
put the
you
ego?
I do this only for like my own validation. Like I have no, of course it's like it gives me like a validation thing. And that's what I'm trying to unpack about it is like how much of it is like ego and validation and how much it is like this deep feeling about humanity.
Oh,
That sounds way deeper than actually
That is so deep.
what I've written is like way less deep
Yes.
than that. So maybe it's not about that. We'll find out.
That's right, yes.
It's actually about sex jokes.
So when you got to be quite successful in comedy,
I wouldn't describe myself as successful, but okay.
you are. So sweet, so sweet. The things get a little bit faster, and you get offered more gigs and stuff, and you have to double like what she's doing tonight. We're basically interviewing her, and she's just running.
Which I also have to run in about 30 seconds.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. So, how do you balance the
I
stresses?
go away
and
a lot.
Where do you go? What
Just
do you do?
anywhere that's not this very rainy, quite depressing island.
That's
I had so far this year I've done Tanzania, 2 months in New Orleans. I did 10 days in Berlin, that was gigs. I'm about to go off gigging again, but Paris, Kaiserslautern, Luxembourg, Lisbon, Barcelona. I just try and I try and have sometimes when I go away and I'm not gigging for a long stretch, sometimes I go away for gigging, but just like sun and taking time out. And it makes me a better comedian, to be honest. Like I write a lot more when I have that downtime and stuff.
True. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you for having me.
You
I'm
were
sorry this
wonderful.
is so brief, but thank you.
I love you. Oh. So we've seen Nicola Nash, and we've seen Richard Brice, and we've seen Elroy Welsh, and our favorite lady, Kate Cheka. And happy 40, the Balkan girl, and join us next week. Woo-hoo! Lots of love.